Alright boys, so quick update on my Demon Slayer collaboration. One, thank you for the support. It's been an amazing week. However, 1 week later on the exact same day, it's now been blocked worldwide. It's now available. Again, I've now muted the audio, unfortunately, because it was copyrighted. So you can see right now the music is max, but there's no actual sound. So if you want to see this again or experience the actual trailer in its full glory, you can go into the description, click the Reddit towards the actual forums as well. And I'll be uploading my Twitter later today with the actual official audio that I'd had to change multiple times because copyright is always a problem. But yeah, just want to do a quick update. The video is now back up. And yeah, if you can support it again, if you haven't seen it, then go watch it. I'll be surprised if you haven't seen it and you're watching this video, but I just want to give you guys a quick update. Thank you again for support. It's been amazing, and let's jump into the video.
Full counter.
Blue GRIAMORE was a fantastic free-to-play character, and unfortunately the character's now been nerfed. The reason why they said was because he was too broken in PvE content. However, most PvE content has damage cap, and the only reason why they probably nerf it is because of obviously guild bosses, and guild bossy was even the best team. So their reasoning is complete BS, and the only reason they did it was because their character was actually really good for a free-to-play character that was given away for free, and Netmarble was probably pissed off that they gave this character with a free without selling it to us. So unfortunately had to nerf him. Well, they didn't have to, they wanted to because they're twats. But if you don't know what's been changed, it's simple. His attack card, which was used to be based off defense, is now based off attack. And if you don't know, the character increased defense so much to where his damage output was kind of insane. His passive gave him defense, which means he was more tanky, but also means he did more damage the more defense he had. Also, the big one was ultimate. His ultimate increased defense, which basically in turn increases damage output. And you're going to see later on, the damage numbers he was doing was actually insane. However, it was not broken because the character, since he is such an old character, had really bad stats, really bad CC, to where if you brought this character, most of the time you start second. And if you start second, well, Escanor ultimate's in the game and you got one-shotted straight away. In fact, it's actually probably even worse now, because now if you actually want to run this character, although you probably wouldn't want it because the character's really bad now, you actually don't want to bring full defense. You actually want to bring something like attack defense. And at that point, well, he's now got less defense, which means the character is now even more squishy because now he has less defense and the attack trade-off isn't even worth it. So how GRIAMORE worked before is the more buffs the character had, the more damage he did basically, because he's obviously passive is skin off defense, when now because the card has now gone to attack, having the massive buff from his ultimate and also all the buffs on the character does increase his damage output. And you can see right now it may do like 150k if you're lucky. Yeah, we got a crit there, but it would do like 120k, and bear in mind this is against a bot, so you can actually crit the bot quite easily. The character's damage output has gone from basically around 1 million damage with all them crazy buffs on to a measly 100k, which is, yeah, not great. In phase 4 of the Monty battle, this character was actually really good because the character could break through the patience and actually do a lot of damage. And since the Monty battle with Migueldo was based around obviously buffing up, the character got a lot of attack power. However, now, even with a tier 3 buff of his actual buff card, even with all the buffs of Migueldo, even with all the buffs of Margaret, the character now doesn't break through patience. That was a tier 2, and before I was doing damage cap with a tier 1, so for free-to-players and new players, this is going to hurt them even more because people really do struggle with the breakthrough phase 4, and this character coming out to make it easier was definitely a lot helpful towards new players. However, now it's kind of just ruined it. The character's still a good tank though, so I guess you could use him, but it's just not worth it more. The saddest part about all of this is the character is no longer usable in PvP, where he actually kind of shined a little bit. So, as you can see on screen now, it took a lot to set this up, and it took a few attempts to do it, but when you do it, it does over 1.3 million damage. Quite a fun character. Definitely looks broken, but it takes a lot to set up. We're now in almost the exact same scenario. Granted, the character like the end doesn't have that many orbs on. Normally it's a one shot, where now it does 40k. We went from 1 million damage towards 40k. Like, genuinely, this is not even acceptable. They've completely killed the character in PvP when he was already okay to use. Definitely meta, but you could use him. When now, if you use him, yeah, it's a joke. Alright, so waiting on Gid now, and we're going to be using a tier 2. We have got an Nefimi stance up, so we have actually got more basic stats. But just to use it against the Escanor after the nerf. So technically speaking, we actually have more stats here. Do we do more damage? Granted, we have 2 less orbs here, but we will see. So I believe last time we did around 50k without actually using the ultimate. And yeah, now we do 40. Bear in mind, that was a tier 2 plus the Nefimi stance as well. So it kind of goes to how much actual damage he lost, even without even buffing up with his ultimate. Alright, so going over to guild boss. Now, guild bosses don't have damage cap, which means you can do outrageous numbers, and this is why people say the character got nerfed. However, I did not recreate the best setup here, but as you can see, we easily hit around 6 million damage before the nerf, and then going over towards after the nerf, and like the last few examples, the character has completely been butchered here. We have a bit of a different setup because the character is no longer rolled around defense, so we have more attack boosters, and he barely killed the boss with max orb gauge. Detonate does do quite a bit against guild boss, and this was actually probably a bit underpowered. From 6 billion to around 100k, not really that great. Granted, Nagato did show in a recent video that Esterosa is hitting around 32 million. So does that mean Esterosa needs a nerf now because that character is doing unreal damage in guild bosses? I don't think so because the character was sold to us and we'd actually spent money for him. Where GRIAMORE, yeah, you know, he was free, so it didn't cost anything to get him. So that is sadly the end of GRIAMORE in Grand Cross. What was once a good character is now probably one of the worst characters in the game. He has absolutely no use now in Grand Cross to where now he's just box fodder and just more CC. Unfortunately for me, I did create UR gear for him, who to be fair, I'll probably now just end up on UR gear in it and give it to the next defensive character that comes out. Most likely an Escanor, hopefully we get the blue one in the future. Or whenever they decide to release another blue defensive character. And a little bit of an update you have made towards the end of the video. Netmarble has actually compensated us for making the character level 100, giving him max SA and also UR gear. So as you can see on screen now, we are getting quite a generous refund actually. So if you don't know what the top one is, we are getting basically this here, but rather than it being for rare gear, is actually for SSR gear, and it is maxed out completely, which means if you are free to play, you might be getting more value from this actual UR set than you would with GRIAMORE. Because if you pulled the new Escanor, for example, you can now make him attack, crit, attack, defense, max 50% rolls, and max out his UR gear completely, and also get enough resources to maximize as well to level 100. You can now make him SA6 as well if you haven't already done that. Honestly, quite a generous payout. So, at the end of the day, it's sad that he nerfed the character that didn't need to be nerfed when he gave it for him for free. But the character wasn't that great in PvP, nor in any other content. You could only just use the character and get a lot of success, don't get me wrong, but you're never going to use him over any other your main team, so they just completely just taken the fun of the character. But we did get 100 free gems that, to be fair, a lot of us will probably need for the end of year banner, and a lot of free resources to max out our new favorite character that comes out, hopefully for New Year's. So at the end of the day, it's a shame, but they've compensated as well, but this shouldn't even nerf the character to begin with, so I'm not too sure how I feel about it. But for me, since I do use them on a blue team, I will be replacing GRIAMORE with Chandler, who I was going to use anyway. It was just a better option. It's just this character was actually quite fun. So yeah, boys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and hopefully you do enjoy the free rewards coming soon. And yeah, peace.